I have like an intro, but that's more for like a studio audience that's waiting in the wings for me. I don't have like a bog standard regular intro, which is I'll work on that. Like I have music. I could probably set that to a little pre-made video that I could play beforehand when I go to do a little video vlog thing so that people know what the hell they're getting into just at a glance. Anyway, welcome to this is January 27th, 2025. The vlog for today. As I make this, it's already like half an hour before it's supposed to go. Actually, I have an hour and a half. It's technically it's scheduled for 6 o'clock, and I had all day to do it, but I was like, I need to think on it a little bit. So, and I let my brain cook a little bit. I don't have too much for you today. Just a little bit of news, maybe a story or two. We'll see. The first thing at the top of my docket is Deepseek, if you're familiar with that sort of thing. It's a China, believe me, a Chinese like a Chinese chatbot language model. I was gonna play with it a little bit just to kind of show what it could do. And the cool thing is I don't know what it might shit the bed when I'm showing it off, but I'll show it off here in a second. I've played a little with Gemini and Claude as well, but like I said, it's nothing to write home about. Like I said, they can do little tasks and whatnot. So for Deepseek, let me go ahead and we'll jump right into the fun. Let's see if I can do this here. Boop. Okay, there it goes. Oh, I may need to resize the screen. Fit the screen. There we go. Okay, there we go. And actually, I'm gonna minimize myself a little bit. There we go. So I don't take up the whole screen. Let me get up here. All right. So, what can you do with Deepseek? It has been making some waves recently, of course, because it's based on what I've seen. Like it's performing at or near the level of a lot of OpenAI's newest stuff. Like it's running circles around Claude and so on in terms of performance metrics for large language models. Of course, the bigger point is they supposedly only trained it on about $5.5 million worth of a budget, whereas OpenAI and Claude and so on, they've used a lot more money. But we'll just demonstrate some of the stuff you can do with it. Let me see. We'll do. And you can see I've done a few things here just to test out before, but how about for the first thing here? Let's see. Can you make a what do we want to make? This will be a very simple one. A hot or not style application where two pictures are displayed and the user must choose which one is hot and which one is not. Let's see. A very simple, request here. Let's see what it does. And you can see it'll spit out the code for the website. And I guess it does it for HTML as well as CSS. Lovely. And it tells you how to run it and all that good stuff. So again, this is a very basic application. Hey, can you make this for me? And it'll show you how to make it. Now, for the average plebe, you probably can't get much mileage out of this if you don't know how to put the code into a certain spot, how to check to see if the code works, and so on and so forth. But if you know what you're doing, this could streamline your creative process a great deal. Let's see. But that was a pretty simple request. Let's see, not bad. Let's see. Let's see. Can you write code to show me telemetry data for a server to record who visits a website where they click. Let's see how long they're on it. And where they came from, if possible. Let's see. Now this one's a little more complex, but let's see what old Deepseek can do. Okay, we'll handle logging data to fill out the database. Okay, so again, if I was into coding, I could tell you, oh yeah, this is perfect code. But for all I know, this could all be garbage. It's like this all could not work. But let's see, public index, front end. There we go. JavaScript. Example of a log entry. Okay, that's cool. Telemetry. Okay, so again, if you're keen on coding, like, oh wow, you know, that's gonna save you a lot of time. But again, this is very obtuse if you're not into coding or don't know anything technical. So let's try and make something a little more simple. A request that Mr. Deepseek could do. Hello, I'm Mr. Deepseek. Yeah. Let's see. We'll do something a little more down to earth here. Let's do what would be a good example? A calendar thing. Or yeah, events. Let's see. I need help. I need help making a workout schedule. Let's see. I'm not sure what days I want to work out, but I want to work out at least twice a week. And let's see. I also want 1 day for yoga and self-care. Let's see. Can you create a schedule for me? And this is a very bog standard request. So like I said, if you're having trouble like getting an idea of what a schedule would look like, and you just need help putting together, like it should be able to do this. I'm hoping. And now it's giving you like days. Now Claude had actually put together like a little calendar activity kind of deal, which so right now it's giving me like spitting out a bunch of stuff on like how to manage it across a week, so to speak. Let's do one. Let's see. Okay, this is quite a bit of stuff here. Let's see. Yoga, self-care, cardio core. All right, now I just said, let's scroll back up here. Let's see. But I want to work out at least, okay, I said at least twice a week. So I didn't say only twice a week. So the reason that he put in multiple days, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's not too bad. But yeah. So if you follow this, you could update your calendar with this specific information, just to help you kind of put together a workout regimen. So again, nothing too fancy here. You can do coding. It can help you plan stuff. Let's see if it can do. Of course, this is always useful if you're in the office space. I need a slideshow detailing synergy, and team building. But team building workflow. Let's see. My boss is to waste some time with a pointless pointless slideshow. Please help. Let's see. What about? Let's see. Let's see what old Deepseek can do. See what it can do. Now, with Claude, they were actually able to make an HTML style slideshow. This looks like for him, he's just going to put together the what would be on each individual slide, which is fine. But as you can see, let's see some of the gems Claude has put out. The magic of synergy. Or nice. Let's see. Synergy is when 1 + 1 = 3, or at least 2.5. Also, it's a great buzz. Okay, so I think Deepseek is in on the joke here, where it's making a bullshit slideshow. Yeah, so if you needed help planning your nonsense slideshow of synergy for your corporate overlords, you just need to fill time for the meeting. You can have it do that. Let's see, and of course it gives tips here. Let's see now. Let's see if it can actually create a slideshow. Can you create this slideshow in HTML? Is that HTML or another way for me to export it? Let's see. I think Deepseek can do this. Okay, so there you go. So if you wanted to have it done in HTML, it could spit out a whole slideshow for you that way. Although most folks, I think, use like Google slideshows these days or something else like that. If for whatever reason you wanted to have it coded that way and just have it pumped out, like I think it should be able to run this in the window. And like, if it can, I'll try and do that for us as well. Because I was hoping it would do that from the start so I could kind of show you what a completed slideshow will look like. Let's see. Oh, and it's cooking. Let's see. Nice. Okay, so again, this is showing you what the slideshow would look like. Now, you could copy and paste this into, whatever program you're using, pretty much. And now these little placeholder pictures, you can just swap those out, of course, with actual images. Yeah. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask, or just nod and pretend you understand. Oh, Deepseek. That's a gem right there. But yeah, that's fun. That's a fun thing to do. But what about the real reason everyone's excited about it? Role playing, right? Now I had actually used Claude myself for a job interview where I had it help me come up with some basically jargon for an interview where I was talking about my experiences and so on. I think Deepseek should be able to do that. Let's go ahead and we'll play along with it. We'll do, I'm going to interview for a job, let's see, in marketing. And they're going to ask me questions about prior relevant experience. Can you come up with some stories showing how I handled tough situations, SIT situations with angry customers and resolved their issues. There we go. Let's see. I need some examples. Let's see. Regarding medical billing. There we go. There we go. And that should be enough. Let's see what old Deepseek can do for us. Okay, so he's just giving me some talking points. So like when I'm doing a phone interview or something, and I need to be able to come up with basically, I've done these things, but I don't have an exact reference in my mind of like, oh yeah, this one time I did this. You can have Deepseek, come up with a bunch of bullshit for you to help you kind of walk your way through that interview. So let's see what some of the stuff they've created here. We'll go to the top. Let's see. A patient called in extremely upset about a billing error. They had received a bill for a service they believed was covered by their insurance. The patient was frustrated and threatened to switch providers. So what I let the patient vent without interrupting, acknowledging their frustration and validating their feelings. I investigated the issue. I reviewed their account and discovered that the billing code had been entered incorrectly, causing the claim to be denied by their insurance. And I communicated clearly that I explained the error to the patient in simple terms and assured them I would correct it immediately. If we're going to follow it up at the end here, I worked with the billing department to resubmit the claim and followed up with the patient to confirm the issue was resolved. Okay, so a very bog standard kind of example there, but a very real life example. And it even has like the result here. And so if I'm in an interview with a prospective employer, and they're grilling me over what have you done in our industry, whether it's billing or customer service or anything like that, you can have it come up with these scenarios for you to kind of work through and have it as an example, which is, and you might say, well, this is pretty simple, and it is, but when you're taxed for time and mental energy, it's nice when you can consult with the AI and be like, hey, help me come up with some examples of this situation so I can think through it and reference it. What else? What it can help you with research as well. I'm just about done with this Deepseek stuff. Like that. This will be the end of this segment here shortly. We'll do one more. We'll do give me a second. See if this messes up something else here. Now here's an obscure book. I Had Seen Castles by... Here we go. Now maybe you're in college and you need help writing a book report. Let's see. I Had Seen Castles. Okay, yeah. Can you please... Let's see. Can you please summarize... there we go. This book and touch on the themes for a report I'm writing. Now, I don't know if it has this book in its database, and it may just hallucinate, so we'll have to check and see here in a second, but... Okay, so far, it sounds about right. Okay, so again, if you're too lazy to browse Cliff Notes, right, and you just need a quick rundown of the book and what's going on, now, the next question is, could you have it write the whole report for you? Let's see. Could you write a report for me that analyzes, or let's see, compares the classical, let's see, no, what do we want to do? We want to do, compares the modern, what I'm trying to say here, we're going to do compares, let's see, I'm trying to think of compares to the modern era and how you could reference it in today's literature, or today's society. Analyzes. That's not how you spell analyzes. Come on, autocorrect. Can I get in there? This guy cannot spell analyze to save his life. Report for me. Exploring the differences between modern culture and the time in which this book portrays. There we go. There you go. So if you're really lazy, let's see. Now I asked it to write a report. It's doing this little listicle thing, which is not the worst thing ever. But let's just see what it comes up with. Because I was hoping it would just write one big long thing. But if you're struggling to come up with ideas and how to kind of put them together, so you could use it like this way. I know I'm very articulate this afternoon, but yeah, I just wanted to showcase a couple different things you could do with it. I I was hoping, like I said, we just write like a full-on report here. Let's see. Can you condense all of that into paragraph? Can you condense all that into paragraphs for a writing assignment? I just want to see how much work can it do for me. Let's see. All that information, yeah. Let's see. Okay, so here you go. So here it is. It's pumping out some nice AI slop for you. If you're absolutely too lazy to write, so you could get this right here. Now this is not very many words, but if you're just writing a very brief report, like this would probably cut the cheese here. But we'll go ahead and read it, and that will all be the end of this little segment here. Let's see. The 1940s, as portrayed by Cynthia Rylance. Is that her name? I thought it was Cynthia Bryant. Yeah, it's Rylant. Cynthia Rylant. I had seen castles were a time. Let's see. As portrayed in Cynthia Rylance, I had seen castles were a time of profound cultural and social change, shaped by the upheaval of World War II. In contrast to modern times, the 1940s were marked by a strong sense of patriotism and collective responsibility. Young men like John Dante, as the main character of the book, felt compelled to enlist in the military out of duty, while communities rallied together to support the war effort. Traditional values dominated, with clearly defined gender roles and an emphasis on family. Today, modern culture prioritizes individualism and personal fulfillment, the greater acceptance of diverse lifestyles and skepticism towards authority. While patriotism still exists, it is often tempered by a more critical view of institutions. Technological advancements have dramatically transformed life since the 1940s. In the 1940s, communication was slow and limited to letters, radio, and newspapers. Many jobs required physical labor, and automation was virtually non-existent. Today, the digital revolution has made instant global communication possible through smartphones and the internet. Automation and artificial intelligence have reshaped the workforce, reducing the need for manual labor and creating new opportunities. These changes have made life more convenient, but also more fast-paced and interconnected. Gender roles have also evolved significantly. In the 1940s, men were expected to be breadwinners and protectors, while women were largely confined to domestic roles. Although women entered the workforce in large numbers during the war, this shift was seen as temporary. Modern society, however, emphasizes gender equality, with women holding leadership roles in politics, business, and other fields. Non-traditional gender roles and identities are increasingly accepted, reflecting a broader cultural shift towards inclusivity and diversity. Oh man, Deepseek's, he's leaning hard into the new stuff here. Let's see. The impact of war on society has changed. World War II was a total war, affecting nearly every aspect of life. Civilians faced rationing, blackouts, and a constant fear of losing loved ones. In contrast, modern conflicts are often more localized, with limited direct impact on civilians in developed nations. While the 1940s were marked by shared sacrifice and post-war optimism, modern times are characterized by war fatigue and skepticism about military intervention. Despite these differences, both eras grapple with the lasting effects of war on individuals and communities. Okay, so you get the idea. Like I said, it's pretty good at just kind of what I would call word salad. It's just spitting out, blobular paragraphs that make sense. Like nothing in there like really jumped out at me as like, oh, this is written by an AI. But if you're keen, if you read carefully, you can kind of spot it. So if you were to utilize this kind of tech for writing a book report or whatever, you would have to make sure that you read through it yourself and make sure that it doesn't sound too artificial. Make sure it doesn't deviate too far from your own writing style. In fact, what you might want to do is submit a prior book report and say, hey, using my syntax and writing style, can you make a book report on this? And that may be a better way to more mask, your assignment there. But just some ideas there. Anyway, that's my little snippet on Deepseek, just showcasing what it can do. You can try it yourself for free. Just Google Deepseek and see what it does. Like I said, I did a few things. There's a lot more stuff you can do with it, like role playing. It can do all kinds of coding. I think you can do a bit of math, but I'm not going to try math right now. Like I said, I've given Deepseek enough time. We'll go ahead and say goodbye to it right now. Although I may revisit it in the future as needed. Anyway. Anyway. Let me get back down here. There we go. Okay. What's next on the agenda? I just wanted to talk about Deepseek real quick. What else did I do? I beat a video game. Phantasy Star Zero, which originally came out for the DS. I would stream it right this second, but I'm not gonna do that right this moment. Let me see. I think I have a picture of it. Let me see here. Do I have? Okay. What I could do, which I'm not gonna do it right now. Or I'll do it in the post. I'll do it in post. Yeah. I beat Phantasy Star Zero. It took me about, I'm gonna say like 2 or 3 days, so it's not a massive game. It's basically Phantasy Star Online for the DS, and generally my thoughts on it are thus. Let me see. Where to begin? So, again, it's not a game I would want to play locally or natively on the DS. It's something where I would want to play emulated because you get to enjoy a much bigger screen, of course. As far as emulation quirks, there was none with the version that I played, and I may in fact play with a few other people online eventually. I don't know. We'll see. Well, like, so that's part of me bumping elbows with Section Skyly a little while back about Phantasy Star. So, yeah, like I'm watching some of his vids, interacting with his little crew on his Discord and so forth. He seems like a swell fella. But anyway, back to Phantasy Star Zero. Let me talk about the photon arts. What are photon arts? Basically, they're like special moves your guy can do. And now, to be clear, they had photon arts in games like Phantasy Star Universe, the PSP Portal game, PSP or Phantasy Star Portable titles, which they were okay, I guess. I mean, I didn't really play them much myself. I played them on emulation, and I wasn't terribly enamored by them. Of course, the Phantasy Star Portable games are effectively like PSU Lite, or I guess effectively Phantasy Star Universe ports. I'm getting sidetracked again. Anyway, the photon arts are basically special moves, and I don't like them for Phantasy Star Zero. It feels like you're setting yourself up to get hit most of the time. Like you're like locked in place in many of these cases, and your photon arts lack like the kickback to really make you feel strong in my book. Which just leads me to spamming the normal attack, which is nothing wrong with that. You're gonna be doing that a lot anyway in Phantasy Star Zero, but I wasn't enamored with the photon arts. Whereas something you might see in Phantasy Star Online 2, the photon arts are a bit more impactful for sure. Just talking about some things that are a little bit better in other games. Switching weapons. Now in Phantasy Star Online, the first one, not the second one, you had quick menus that let you kind of swap things around really quick. Whether it was using items, using techniques, items. I said items twice. Is this guy senile? How big is this crab's brain? Weapons, techniques, items, and it felt very smooth. You could move around while you were doing it, in fact, and it felt good to use. Whereas in Phantasy Star Zero, whenever you access your menu, you have to freeze in place. And like I may show some little pictures here in a bit that kind of highlight it. But essentially what this means is you're going to need to lock in before you go to the next room. And when you're in these like dungeons, there's multi-room dungeons, mind you. You go from room to room and there's going to be enemies to kill. And if you're doing this solo, luckily you can have NPCs with you when you're playing solo, but even then, you have to, like I said, if you come into the room with the wrong gun or the wrong, palette for your move set or whatever, you either need to back out of that room or risk getting hit while you're trying to fiddle with your palette. Now, it's not that big of a problem for me because, like I said, usually I would just spam the normal attacks, so it didn't matter. But for a class that relies more on a diversity of skills like we call a force, which they have all kinds of magical bullshit and whatnot. For them, it would be a taller order, I think, and some other classes as well. But like I said, this can be mitigated somewhat in Phantasy Star Zero just by spamming the normal attacks and just having very basic palette setups. What else? What about palettes? I was just mentioning those. Okay, basically you have 3 attacks. Well, I say 3 attacks. You have 2 attacks and a dodge button on your main palette. You can swap out the dodge button, but I mean, why would you do that? So you have the dodge and 2 attacks. You have a secondary palette you can switch to by hitting one of the shoulder buttons. And that gives you a total of 3 additional either items, techniques, or... Oh, that's pretty much it. Items or techniques. So you don't really have any other attacks. And that's not really enough for Phantasy Star. Like I said, I would have much preferred if they'd utilized more of the touchscreen real estate to let you cast additional spells or use different items. But as it stands right now, you're very limited with the palette. And like I said, I may post a picture kind of highlighting what you're looking at there. But well, we'll see. I think that's all I have for Phantasy Star Zero. I was also going to mention a story today. I have a few different stories I wanted to tell. They're not recent stories, mind you. They're pretty far back in my memory banks, but I'm fairly confident these happened exactly how I remember. And a memory I wanted to share because I was just thinking about riding the bus as a youth, and I want to take you back to where I was at that time. I live out, or I used to live, I should say, in a place which many would refer to as the hollar. What is the hollar? The hollar is basically the hilly region around Tennessee with lots of trees. It's not mountainous like over in East Tennessee or up the Rockies or what, mind you. It's like just lots of rolling hills, lots of fields, lots of forestry, but not really mountains, just lots and lots of hills. So I live out in the hollar, and I had to be up pretty early to catch the bus because the way it was is I was basically one of the first people to get on and one of the last people to get off, which in some ways was good, but in most of the ways was bad. The biggest plus for me was I loved video games as a kid, and I didn't want to do homework at home. So what I would do is I would do my homework on the bus. And like I said, the bus ride was like 45 minutes. And usually I would start my homework on the prior day, on the trip home, and then finish it on the trip to school. So that you're looking at least an hour and some odd minutes of time to work on homework, which for most kids is more than enough time to do whatever you need to do. Math, reading, whatever. So I would do my homework on the bus, and one thing you have to be mindful of, it was something that required me to write a lot of shit. That was never good. Because, of course, the bus is bumping around. The suspension is just utter horse shit. So my handwriting, which, let's be honest, was never that good on a good day, looked even worse. As, I'm being jostled around trying to squeeze in the last few lines of a paragraph or do a few multiplication tables or whatever the homework happened to be. And I'm just thinking back now. Like all the days where I had to do a mad dash because I didn't do any homework on the ride home, and I was just going to squeeze it all in on the way to school. And like that, I had a good 45 minutes. So if I really rushed, I could squeeze out, if it was like I had to write a paragraph or two, I could write a paragraph real fast. I could just bullshit my way through it. If it was math I really struggled with. But as long as it was just like, 5 to 10 problems, what I could do, because usually for the homework, it wasn't something you were graded on. You just had to make an attempt. So I would, quote unquote, make an attempt. I knew that half the answers were wrong. I did it anyway. And we would check homework in class. I'd be like, okay, this is the answer to this problem. Who wants to try and solve it? You get called up to the front to do it. And usually, I would, stand and deliver. You would either take your homework up there with you or you would do it live on the board. And, I figured, I'm not going to get it right anyway, whether I do it in front of people or on my homework. So I would just put down, what I hope was close to a right answer. And that's how I handled math a lot of times. But that's the quote unquote good side. The bad side was the long bus rides. Dear Lord. I remember just, whether it was in the summer or in the winter, it was just balls either way. I was either freezing to death or sweltering. It just sucked. And I had to wake up early. That was the biggest thing. Like, school started at 7:45. That means the bus was usually around to pick us up around like, let me think, it probably would have been like 6:50 or so. That means I had to be awake at like, at the absolute latest, like 6:10 or 6:20, and run down. I had to run down this big hill to get to where the bus would pick me up. Like, the bus did not drive up to my house. I had to go to the bus. Anyway, big hills all over Tennessee. I run down, wait for the bus to pick me up. What was good is it circled around. So if it passed me once, that wasn't a problem, because it had to go and make a U-turn and come back around. And usually if I missed the first go around, it would get me on the second go. If I missed both goes, I'd be like, well, shit, I'm fucked, because like, either my parents would have to drive me, which they did not want to do, by the way. It's like, you better not miss that bus. So I had a very strong incentive to catch the bus. Or otherwise I would just stay at home for the day, which the parents also did not care for. And like I said, that I would be thoroughly chewed out if that were the case. But very rarely did I miss the bus. Unless I was actually physically ill, did I ever miss the bus. Yeah, that's a little snippet, a little slice of my memory pie for you. Riding the bus to school back in what would that been? 1990, like let's just say like 1994. Yeah, like 1994 to about 1997, 98. I think that's about like my prime time when I was still doing middle school. I want to say that was the time. Again, that seems so long ago now. But anyway, that's a little snippet of my memories. I wish I had more for this vlog, but I think that's really all I have for you guys. A little bit of showcasing Deepseek, some fun things you can do with it, ranting about Phantasy Star, talking about old memories. I think that's everything I got for you guys. But yeah, this is, of course, January 27th, 2025. Nothing else really is happening right now. Like, I'm checking my memory banks for like what's going on. The truth is nothing. Like, so I'm working on streaming. I'm working on a few other things, but like nothing has come to fruition yet. And I say I'm working on stuff. I'm mostly just doom scrolling. Like, the original issue of me just getting stuck doom scrolling on stuff that doesn't matter is still a recurring issue. But like, so I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Anyway, this about wraps up this vlog. Take it easy. Make sure to click the buttons or whatever. Thanks for watching. See ya.